guys, welcome back to another video. So in this video I will be talking about Disturbance #1. So looks pretty good, not the best, not the worst, of course. But we do have another Disturbance in the Eastern Pacific. First of all, let's talk about this Disturbance. So Disturbance #1 has a 90% chance of cyclone formation in the next 5 days. Its organized showers and thunderstorms continue over the Bay of Campeche and southern Mexico in association with a broad low pressure area. So it'll move slow. It won't move much, but let's get that out. So we have the low pressure. Actually, according to Tropical Tidbits, the low pressure is actually on land. So we see a giant field, but it's an elongated storm with most of the vorticity up here. So it's kind of like a what's it called? Like an eggplant. No, not Among Us. But so with most of the vorticity up here, it's gonna be a weak storm because we don't have really any strong convection around the low pressure. And then if we go on to the water vapor, we can see that we have Central American gyro, I believe, down here, which is, you could say, making it just stay down here. But this storm wants to launch up. The landfall point for most of the models is Louisiana, but most of the rainfall will be in Mississippi. But so we have the low pressure. I always think the low pressure is there, but it's down here. It actually made landfall, but with most of it up here, and then so we see that it wants to move up, but we see a trough down here and more over there, just keeping it down. And then whenever this moves out of the way, then another high pressure down here where you cannot see, but push it up, push this low pressure up with the misshaped vorticity up and make most likely landfall in Louisiana or Mississippi or Texas. One of these two, but most likely Mississippi, with most of the rain in Louisiana, most likely the rain in Mississippi. But for landfall in Mississippi, most of the rain in Florida, and then Texas, most of the rain in Louisiana. We still don't know, but we have a general motion of this region, you could say, but we do see it most likely to occur in Louisiana, depending on if it would be a tropical depression, or a storm, or a hurricane. Who knows? Here's the IR loop for the system. Not really much. Actually, this one in the Eastern Pacific, it does look pretty good, but the Central American gyro is around here, but we see some weak vorticity, not really good banding of the system, but we actually you can kind of see it, but just really ain't that good. So according to the AVNO and the AEM2, it ain't gonna do anything. According to the GEFS, it ain't gonna do anything. According to the GEPS, it is gonna do something, but most of it just dies out around Mexico, but only 2 models show landfall in Texas, near Brownsville and South Padre Island up to Corpus Christi. And then no models show Louisiana or Alabama, Mississippi, Florida. Sorry that I did something to Florida instead of Alabama. I know this one's Alabama, and this one's Florida, and this one's Mississippi. Yeah. Going on over here, invest in 92 model guidance. So we see about 48 hours to about 120 hours. We see it's actually in the Gulf of Mexico. Here is where it's meandering, and over here is where it is near landfall. So as I said, it's located where it's at, where the L is located. But let's look at the GFS model. So the winds, not really good, but as I said, they will be on the northern side. They will. Because if we look through, we can actually see some green within it, and that's about 70 knots. That's pretty fast. But that's a gust. But we do see most of the wind located here, and then it's just going to be pulled with this trough that's moving out, and then with this high pressure moving up, and then also with this high pressure will be moving that way, and then we just see that it won't be stuck, and then it'll just be pulled with that one over there. So humidity for the system is actually pretty good, and except on the eastern side, which the eastern, as we said, as I said, not we, as I said, it ain't doing pretty good. And most of it's going to be on the eastern front, which is a possibility for tornadoes, and we might even get some storm surge for Florida. The Mississippi River, whatever it's called, inlet, you could call it, Alabama and Mississippi. We could see most of the rainfall in this general region. With Texas not really having much of the rainfall. But this is the worst region for tropical storm to make landfall, because in portions of Louisiana, they're 14 inches above average, and that's pretty great. But wind chill, we do see some high wind chill, but can we get to the 12? Yes. So we do see some northerly and actually southerly wind chill with the system. Northerly wind chill, westerly wind chill, and easterly wind chill. It really ain't the best for the system, but the only spot where it's good is down south. But as you know, thunderstorms are very good for windshield, so we might see some good thunderstorms for Georgia, South Carolina, Alabama, Florida, and Louisiana, possibly parts of Arkansas, North Carolina, and Tennessee. Because the track for the system is meander a bit. It's kind of like Fistball's track, even though that Fistball went straight up. It's gonna do a bit like Fistball did, but go with North Carolina because of that trough. It's gonna follow the trough. So the GFS vorticity, as I keep saying, we have an elongated system with most of the vorticity up here, and even though that the low pressure is located where you see the L. But we do see that most of it's going to go into Louisiana, possibly some in Mississippi and Alabama. Florida, you aren't really going to get anything except the extreme western panhandle. So the NAM 32 kilometer model. The NAM 32 kilometer, this one, in my opinion, is one of the most accurate, rather than NAM 3 kilometer. But we can see throughout that most of the models, this one is actually showing there might even become a hurricane. Who knows? But it disagrees with the GFS model just because it doesn't have the, you could say, eggplant shape. It actually has a more defined center of location with some nice banding and more vorticity in the center. So with the NAM 12 kilometer model, let's just go quickly. So it takes a while for the system to actually move. It only takes about 2 days for it to just start moving. But we do see landfall right where Laura made landfall, which was a devastating storm. But we do see 993 with those isoballs being extremely close. So we might see some strong winds around the central. But as I said, most of the rainfall would be in Louisiana, eastern Louisiana, western U.S. Panhandle, western U.S. Panhandle, western Florida Panhandle, and Alabama and Mississippi. So here's the name to the kilometer model. It's actually showing that this model will form a big fickle, but actually form going into Texas, possibly into Corpus Christi, South Padre Island, or it might do a curve into Louisiana. But as I said, if it goes into Texas, we're gonna see more rainfall on the eastern northerly side. So we're seeing Houston and east and western Louisiana as more of the rainfall outlook. So the sea surface temperatures we're seeing about 20 to possibly even 30 degrees, which is about 82 to 90 degrees Fahrenheit. So pretty warm. So it's actually going to be in warmer than average temperatures from 1981 to 2010. So yeah, but the last 7 days change. We're actually seeing cooler waters than what we saw 7 days ago. But excuse me. but that doesn't really mean much. It's only about like a degree or two Celsius lower than what it was. Really ain't that much, but it can devastate a system, which would be good. But it will possibly, probably not, rapidly intensify in the U.S. portion of the Gulf of Mexico because there's warmer than average temperatures. But guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Also hit that notification bell so you get notified whenever I create another video.